A 20-year-old woman in South Carolina has been arrested and charged with attempted murder and child neglect after what police say was an attempt to end her own pregnancy. Everything the public knows right now comes directly from law enforcement, and that's important to highlight because police narratives about pregnancy are extremely unreliable. And before I go any further, if you appreciate deep dives like this, make sure you're subscribed. It helps push this work out. More people need to hear about it. And as reporting from Kylie Chung and Jessica Valenti in Abortion Every Day points out, police accounts almost always become the entire story before anyone can even ask whether the facts make sense. And now, just days after almost certainly a traumatic medical crisis, this young woman's mugshot has already been shared everywhere, shaping public reaction before anyone has heard her side of the story at all. Police say they responded to a 911 call about a miscarriage on November 12th. They claim she was 27 weeks pregnant, that she admitted to taking some type of medication to end the pregnancy, and that she didn't call for help quickly enough after the birth. They say the newborn was alive and is now in critical condition, but none of this has been independently verified. We don't know what medication she took. We don't know how far along she was or what the medical situation looked like in the moments after delivery. What we do know is that she was in a medical crisis, and instead of receiving care or compassion, she was treated like a criminal. Advocates are urging everyone not to treat the police's version as a fact. Karen Thompson from Pregnancy Justice told Abortion Every Day that police rely heavily on stigma and misinformation in cases involving pregnancy. Her position is that police should just have one job during a pregnancy loss: helping someone get safely to a hospital, not interrogating them, not arresting them, and definitely not releasing mugshots of them to shape public judgment. This case is part of a much bigger trend. It's the second South Carolina arrest over a pregnancy outcome in just 3 months. And if you step back even further, it's part of a national pattern that has grown rapidly since Dobbs. In the first year after the Dobbs decision overturned, more than 250 people were arrested for pregnancy outcomes. In the first 2 years, that number rose to more than 400. These arrests included arrests for miscarriages, stillbirths, self-managed abortions, unexpected home births, and traumatic deliveries. Another South Carolina case from this summer involved a woman accused of desecration of human remains after police said she put a stillborn baby in the trash. And I say stillborn in quotes. Local media repeated that description without any question. But Abortion Every Day later found that what police called a baby was in fact actually miscarriage tissue from an 18-week pregnancy. Police often use the word baby even when they're describing tissue or a fetus. And that language is emotional, and it primes the public to assume wrongdoing long before facts are known. This pattern shows up across the country. A young woman in Georgia was charged with concealing a death after placing miscarriage tissue in the trash. A Texas woman spent 5 months in jail for how she disposed of a miscarriage and its remains. Another South Carolina case from 2023 involved a college student, Amari Marsh, who lost a pregnancy in the second trimester. Police went ahead and charged her with murder by child abuse and claimed she didn't render aid, even though she denied their allegations entirely. And in Georgia, a woman named Kelsey Carpenter was charged with homicide after a home birth where she passed out from extreme blood loss. But police blamed her for not calling for help fast enough. You can see the pattern here. People being criminalized are young, poor, or marginalized. They are often reported by healthcare providers or someone close to them. And the charges used against them weren't abortion laws. They were charges like neglect, abuse, concealment, or homicide. Authorities weaponize unrelated laws to punish people for their pregnancy outcomes. And this is all happening in a political environment where pregnancy is being treated as suspicious by default. That brings us to something crucial happening in South Carolina right now. At the same exact time this young woman was being arrested, lawmakers were holding a hearing on Senate Bill 323, a bill that would classify abortion as homicide and expose people to years in prison or even the death penalty.
I'm offer a motion for favorable report to the full committee. Is there a second? Second from Senator Fernandez. Okay. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay. And all those opposed?
What's the count, Mr. Chairman? I couldn't hear it. What's the count?
2 in favor.
2 in favor.
Three against. A motion of 3 to 2. The bill fails.
Watching this hearing, you'll notice the room is almost entirely full of men. Men debating whether pregnant people should face homicide charges. Men deciding whether miscarriages should become criminal investigations. Men determining who gets punished for their pregnancy outcomes. For context, Senate Bill 323 is being called one of the strictest abortion bans in the country. It would treat abortion as homicide, with no exceptions for grape, incest, or fatal fetal abnormalities. It also redefines contraceptives in a way that would threaten access to IUDs, to Plan B, and to IVF. It criminalizes possession of abortion medication. It criminalizes providing information about abortion, even online or over the phone. And it would force students in public schools to watch an anti-abortion propaganda video. And beyond SB 323, South Carolina is considering an even more extreme bill, the Unborn Child Protection Act. This bill would allow prosecutors to charge people who get abortions or people who help them with murder, a crime punishable by up to 30 years in prison or even the death penalty. It would also define certain forms of birth control as abortifacients, paving the way to ban contraceptives statewide.
At this very moment, nearly 200,000 children in our state are suffering from hunger. Nearly 4,000 are in foster care. We have the 8th highest maternal mortality rate and consistently rank in the bottom 10 of education systems in the U.S. And gun violence remains the #1 cause of death for children ages 1 to 19. These are not just statistics. These are lives. These are families, and these are futures. So let me be clear. S323 is not about protecting life. It's about preserving control. If the sponsors of this bill truly cared about children or the women who risked their lives to bring them into this world, they would be fighting to fix these issues. Instead, these same leaders who defend life are removing exceptions for adult and child victims of rape and incest, attempting to criminalize women and the doctors who care for them, and has the potential to give more jail time to rape survivors who seek an abortion than the man who raped her, as less than 1% of cases lead to convictions. Some supporters of this bill have falsely claimed that women are using abortion as birth control while ignoring that this bill simultaneously decreases access to true contraceptives. Women are not using abortion as birth control. They are navigating the hardest decisions of their lives in a system designed to punish them at every turn. And now with this bill, that punishment will become law. We are watching an all-out assault on freedom, dignity, and medical care. So let me say it plainly. Women deserve the right to choose control over their bodies. Doctors should not be punished for doing their jobs. In 2021, I oppose S0001, and in 2025, I oppose S232. And the sister senators may have lost their seats, but they gained a backbone that many in this room do not have.
And seeing women fight back, often alone, in rooms full of men, makes the stakes all more painfully clear. People aren't just fighting for abortion access, they're fighting for the right to survive pregnancy without being criminalized. This political climate absolutely directly affects how pregnant people are treated. When lawmakers frame abortion as homicide, police begin treating pregnancy as potential evidence. Coroners start collecting miscarriage tissue and calling it an infant. News outlets repeat whatever the police say, and the public is pushed to assume guilt instead of care. And they blame people instead of offering them the compassion that they deserve. Meanwhile, the man who shot somebody outside a Planned Parenthood clinic just days before all of this, he still hasn't been arrested. At the time of this recording, that contrast shows exactly who the state sees as dangerous and who they choose to target instead. Ashlyn Pro from the Palmetto State Abortion Fund said that this young woman needed care and she needed compassion, not criminal charges. They've secured her legal representation, but the larger issue here is the expanding network of laws designed to surveil, judge, and punish pregnant people. We don't know what happened in that Rock Hill home. What we know is that she was in a medical crisis, and instead of help, she got handcuffs. She got headlines and charges that could change the rest of her life forever. This was never about safety or protecting children. We know this has always been about control. And if this kind of reporting matters to you, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you share this video. Stories like this usually get buried or distorted. Sharing them is one of the most powerful ways that we can push back together. And abortion is healthcare. Bye.